About 80 million years ago, during the Cretaceous period, dinosaurs reigned supreme over dry land. Colossal creatures like the Tyrannosaurus rex, Triceratops, and Hadrosaurs dominated plains and forests. But there was one place where the T-Rex held no power, a domain the land giants rarely dared approach: the deep, deadly oceans. In the waters of that world, there existed a sovereign whose hunger knew no bounds, whose body was a death machine designed by nature, a veritable nightmare for any creature that dared cross its path. This monster was the Mosasaurus, the predator even the dinosaurs feared. The Mosasaurus was not a fish, nor a shark, nor a dinosaur despite being often associated with them. It was a marine reptile, descended from lizard ancestors that, millions of years earlier, had returned to the waters and evolved to become absolute masters of the seas. With elongated muscular bodies that could exceed 17 meters in length, these creatures possessed elongated snouts, jaws armed with rows of serrated teeth, robust fins, and a powerful crescent-shaped tail similar to that of modern sharks, which gave them strength and speed in swimming. Imagine a gigantic crocodile crossed with a sea dragon. That's the closest we can come to a Mosasaurus. Unlike crocodiles, whose speed is limited underwater, Mosasaurus was an active, agile, and surprisingly fast hunter. Studies indicate it could reach speeds of over 30 kilometers per hour in short bursts, fast enough to ambush massive prey before they even noticed. And what exactly did it hunt? The answer is simple: whatever was within reach. Long-necked plesiosaurs, easy prey; huge fish like Xiphactinus, torn apart; giant sea turtles, crushed between its jaws. Even other mosasaurs could become a meal in deadly disputes over territory or food. The Mosasaurus was the apex predator of the Cretaceous oceans, just as the T-Rex was on dry land. But how exactly did it conquer the throne of the seas? The secret lay in its body. Unlike the plesiosaurs and ichthyosaurs that came before it, mosasaurs possessed a set of evolutionary adaptations that made them elite predators. Their skulls, for example, were extremely flexible. Like modern snakes, they possessed jaw joints that allowed them to open their mouths at impressive angles and swallow large prey almost whole. This meant their diet was incredibly varied. Even enormous animals, which theoretically would have been difficult to handle, posed no problem. Their digestive system handled the task of screwing flesh, bones, and shells into a stomach so acidic that virtually nothing escaped. Another deadly detail was its teeth. These weren't flat teeth or adapted solely for gripping. Mosasaurus teeth were curved and serrated, perfect for cutting through tough flesh, piercing bone, and tearing muscle to shreds. With the force produced by its gigantic jaws, its bites reached pressure equivalent to that of modern iconic predators. For any animal bitten, escaping alive was virtually impossible. For many millions of years, Mosasaurus and its relatives ruled the seas. They were the true great white sharks of their time, but much larger, more diverse, and better adapted to the shallow waters that covered much of North America, Europe, and other regions. It's hard to imagine, but at that time, much of the continents we know today were submerged in warm, tropical inland seas. And in these seas swam mosasaurs of varying sizes, from species measuring less than 3 meters to the titans measuring over 15 meters that reigned supreme. It was an entire clan of marine apex predators, but none as famous and feared as Mosasaurus hoffmanni, the largest and most legendary species discovered to date. The fossil evidence for this animal is impressive. Gigantic skulls with endless rows of sharp teeth have been found primarily in Europe and the Americas. One of the first described Mosasaurus fossils was discovered near the Meuse River in the Netherlands in the late 18th century, hence its name. This discovery preceded even the first scientific descriptions of dinosaurs, making Mosasaurus one of the most famous fossil creatures in the history of paleontology. In a sense, it was one of the first extinct giants to capture humanity's imagination. But if it was so sovereign, was there anyone who dared to confront it? Fossil records and studies suggest that Mosasaurus's only potential rivals were other mosasaurs. Deadly conflicts between individuals left marks on fossilized carcasses, indicating territorial disputes and even cannibalism. In some specimens, teeth were found embedded in bones that could only have come from another of the same species. These battles, though visceral, never threatened the dominance of the genus as a whole. Mosasaurs were undisputed sovereigns, and for any other creature of the sea, living near them was a death sentence. And what about the dinosaurs, which dominated the land? If one was unlucky enough to venture into the shallow oceans, for example, when crossing coastal areas it could easily become prey. It is estimated that some smaller species of hadrosaurs, or even primitive birds, might have been attacked if they fell into the water. Respect, or rather absolute fear, was guaranteed. The ocean, in that world, didn't belong to the dinosaurs, it belonged to the mosasaurs. A fascinating aspect of Mosasaurus biology is that, contrary to popular belief, it wasn't just a blind, brute predator. There's strong evidence that these animals could hunt in packs. The logic is simple. Several fossils show growth patterns similar to modern social species, and cooperative hunting would have been extremely advantageous for cornering larger prey or dealing with agile animals. Imagine a group of mosasaurs chasing plesiosaurs in organized schools, cutting off their prey's path and attacking in unison. If this actually occurred, the terror wrought in those waters surpasses any film, and it's impossible not to draw the comparison with fiction. In Jurassic World, the Mosasaurus was portrayed in exaggerated and spectacular proportions, even swallowing the legendary Indominus Rex. While cinema has indulged in some dramatic poetic license at this point, the scientific truth remains equally incredible. This animal truly was the king of the seas. Even without exaggerating its size, its existence already represented a killing machine that no other animal of the time could safely challenge. But like all great dominators in the history of life, the reign of the Mosasaurus also came to an end. The catastrophic event that wiped out the land dinosaurs 66 million years ago also swept through the oceans, taking all mosasaurs with it. The Chicxulub asteroid impact in Mexico kicked up enough dust to darken the sky, alter climates, acidify oceans, and collapse entire food chains. Without enough food and collapsing ecosystems, even the greatest predators succumb. Thus, the monsters even the dinosaurs feared disappeared, never to return. Yet its legacy endures. Marine reptiles disappeared, but other predators adapted their ways to dominate the waters. Sharks, orcas, and crocodiles inherited the role of great ocean hunters, but none of them combined size, ferocity, and power to the same degree as the Mosasaurus. For the entire period in which it existed, it was comparable to a marine deity, a creature worthy of myth, but absolutely real. Today, their fossils rest in museums, admired by scientists, enthusiasts, and the curious. And each of these fossils tells not only the story of a predator, but also the memory of an era when the oceans were forbidden territory, where no creature, not even the largest dinosaurs, could compete with the true master of the seas, the Mosasaurus. And when we look at our seas today, with their great white sharks, giant sperm whales, and colossal squids, we understand that Earth has never ceased to create fearsome monsters. But if we could travel back in time and dive into the waters of the Cretaceous, there would be no doubt dinosaurs ruled the Earth. But in the vast blue, there was only one king, and even the dinosaurs, looking out at the sea, had good reason to fear. The Mosasaurus may have disappeared millions of years ago, but its shadow still lingers in the oceans of our imagination. It was the lord of the seas, a predator even dinosaurs feared, and whose legend echoes to this day. Now, tell me in the comments, if you lived back then, would you have dared to cross the Cretaceous seas? I want to know if you would have been prey or hunter. If this journey into the past captivated you, leave a like so more explorers can find this video, and subscribe to the channel to continue traveling with me through the beasts and mysteries that shaped our planet, because that was just part of the story, and the next chapters will be even wilder.